Hello and welcome to Carpe Diem. I'm your host, Jack Smith IV. Is drama education a necessity in secondary and high school education? With sequester cuts looming over the nation, school districts are considering this question. However, at Orange Preparatory Academy, drama education remains a steady part of the program. With us today is Kate Sugarman, a classically trained actor and student of Bloomfield College. Kate, who studied and worked with the renowned Shakespeare and Company, most recently assisted with the direction of the show, The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, Abridged, Revised, at Orange Preparatory Academy in high school. Welcome to Carpe Diem, Kate.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us today. So could you start off by telling me how you got involved with the kids at Orange Prep?
My mother is a teacher at that school. She's been teaching there for 7 years, I think. And basically once, I left, I'm not in high school anymore. She invited me to come back and help them out with the show because I'm also very interested in, the sort of education and theater link. And I basically sort of apprenticed under her. I'd say that's how I got involved with them.
And so when you say that link between education and drama, so she's a drama teacher there?
Yes.
So what were your responsibilities putting on the show, coming in and working with these kids?
Well, they're a fun group. A lot of the time we have to sort of try to harness their energy, I guess you would say. So that's a big deal, sort of dealing with these very energetic kids and trying to sort of channel their energy from just having fun and like messing around into actually putting on a productive show and reining them into doing a production. With high schoolers, you really have to keep tabs on them a lot more so than if you're doing, a more professional production.
And tell us a little bit, if you could speak briefly before we have a couple of clips from the show, from the performance that was done at the school.
Yes.
And before we get to those, tell us a little bit about the show itself, what it's about, kind of the themes.
The show itself is entitled The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, Abridged, Revised. And basically it was originally done by 3 men who called themselves the Reduced Shakespeare Company. And they basically were like, we're going to do the complete works of William Shakespeare in about 2.5 hours. So they have really good intentions. They appreciate the bard's work and they want to do it justice, but it's a comedy. So you get a lot of men dressing as women, a lot of misunderstandings of the actual text, but they're really energetic. So what you actually get is a fun night of exploring Shakespeare's works through different aspects of the performance. Certain parts focus on the all-male performances that were done in Shakespeare's time. And then we also have a look at a lot of the big themes of Shakespeare, like, race comes in, but all in a fun, light-hearted way. And it basically, it's a really good introduction to the works of William Shakespeare.
And is there a way in which this particular work, this particular way of approaching the work, maybe is suited to these kids particularly?
I think it's a lot easier for them to understand than, you look at going into an English class and just sitting down with a big book and reading it. With this, they're on their feet, they're exploring it. They can't not understand it. Some kids, they'll read Shakespeare like, oh, I'll just read the footnotes, I'll do the No Fear Shakespeare. But with the way that this show is made, you really have to understand the story in order to be an effective performer in it. You're talking about, like, the Othello rap is put in, it's the story of Othello in modern terms. And I think it's really good at breaking the barrier that a lot of people have towards Shakespeare by mixing it with modern language and modern interpretations and still bringing in the rich language that he wrote with.
So we have a clip of the Othello rap. Before we show it, could you tell us a little bit about teaching this segment, what it's about, who's performing it?
The Othello rap is one of my favorite parts because it starts off, the title of the play is Othello, the Moor of Venice. And it starts off with one of the ensemble members in the show misunderstanding what the word Moor means. In Shakespeare's time, it referred to an African-American man, while in our time, a moor is a place where you tie up boats. So it starts with this misunderstanding, and they use that to catapult into, they do a rap, which is, a bit of a racist interpretation of Othello. I mean, this was written by white guys, and our kids, you'll see they're not that. And it's so funny, them having to do this rap. And me and my mom, we're loving it. They're like, this is, oh, come on. They're like laughing at us. But it basically, it takes the entire story of Othello and puts it in a catchy, fun rap that they ended up really enjoying.
All right, well, we have a clip, so let's take a look at the performance.
Speak of me as I am. Let nothing extenuate of one who loved, not wisely, but too well. For it never was story of more woe than this of Othello and his Desdemona. Oh, Destiny!
I'm sorry. It appears that Roger, securing the infallibility of the internet, Googled the word moored and found it was a place where you tied boats.
I ain't Google it, I binged it.
What does the word moored mean anyway?
Well, interestingly, this is the subject of a blazing scarf in the bay. For Elizabethans, Moor can refer to either the Berbers in North Africa, or more generally to any people of sub-Saharan African descent.
So in short terms, what you're telling us is that Othello is, a brother, a homie.
You mean African American?
But doesn't the play take place in Italy?
So he's African Italian.
That makes more sense, Hannah.
Wait, guys! I have an idea, and it's totally boatless. We just need to get a beat going.
Whoa. So because Othello's black, you're gonna rap about this story?
Yeah. That's racist.
You're story about a brother by the name of Othello. He like white woman, he like grape jello. And a punk named Iago made himself a menace because he didn't like Othello. The more of it.
Now Othello got married to Desdemona.
He took up with the boys and he left them alone.
It was Demona. He left Demona.
He didn't write a letter and he didn't telephone her.
Now Othello loved Desi like a daughter's love Venus, and Desi loved Othello because he had a big
But got perhaps planned. That was clever. Slick.
He was cracking. He was hot.
Sure. He said, I'm gonna jack them all.
How you gonna do it?
Tell us. Well, no one's trying to do it. That is too damn jealous.
I need a dope, I need a con to smoke.
Any plans on him? Let's take a chef. So Othello gets to one to just make it. Well, he's an outbreak. Committed an army. Or Destiny Cash playing hide the salami.
Salami. So he comes back home to a pillow in her face.
Then he starts a little about the disgrace.
But it's Amelia at the door when we met in that fall.
Who said no, homie? She want no hope.
She was pure.
She was clean. She was better than two.
It's true. It's you. Now what you gonna do?
Damn, pretty scary.
Pulled out his blade and committed hair cherry.
Do that funky boy, big black boy.
And he happened on all for the technology.
Ain't got it on TV. Show that is prime time. HBO. That's the house goes.
See these kids interacting with the material in a way that is maybe a little more accessible to them than a dry read of the show. Do you see that when they interact with the material this way, that they have a more full comprehension of the material? Do you see them developing an interest in the material?
I really do. I think that putting it in this terms makes it a lot more accessible to them. Last year they did a full Shakespearean production. They did Julius Caesar, and they did a really good job. But a lot of the times they can struggle with the language. So a more sort of medium dose of the language and so much more of a focus on the story. I really think that it sort of opens the store because, like I said, Shakespeare scares a lot of, these young kids because you think English, you think all these tests and this papers and this literary criticism on it, which is ridiculous. But I really think that this puts the stress on the story and sharing the story, not so much getting the story right, but sharing it. There's so much of an interaction in this show with the audience. And in Shakespeare's time, that was how he wrote his shows. You know, he wrote his shows knowing that there would be people standing right up close to the actors and yelling back at them. And when we read that in English class, we lose that. We have no idea that that was even a thing. And with this show, it forces the actors to interact with the audience during these sort of improv-like parts. And so when they go back to the Shakespeare, it's comfortable for them. And they're able to discover more through the text, through the interaction with the audience, and through the exploration in their own words.
So the kids that you're working with, are they going back to their English classes, and are they studying the texts in the classroom? What are they working with once they go from their drama education to the English education?
Oh, I have the boy in this production who played Hamlet, the Hamlet. He came back a couple months later. He was like, studying Hamlet in school now, and he's like, he has more of an appreciation for it, but it's not at the level that they were in depth with it in the show, you know, because you have everyone else in the class who doesn't have that background in Hamlet. So I feel like sometimes it can be stressful sitting in a classroom with a show that you know so well and that you learned, and it's really up to them to make the most of it. Like this kid's a good kid, so I know, you know, he found more in the text and he's very interested in Hamlet. He enjoys the play. But, you know, I mean, I personally, I was raised, you know, I love Shakespeare. I read Julius Caesar in high school, and I still have an aversion to it. You know, I still, after seeing production after production after production, you know, I've gotten over it, but it was so just boring and dull in the classroom. And all these questions that were like, what happened at this point? What do you think? This. Like, that's not what Shakespeare was written for. And in high school, teaching it like that, it's scary because it's such beautiful, it's such a beautiful piece of work, the complete works. And, you know, in an English class, it can feel dry. So that's why I feel that these kids, it's like rescuing them for Shakespeare. You know, it's sort of saving Shakespeare in their mind by making it this engaging and this exciting. You know, so they can get through their English classes because they have the knowledge and they can remember how exciting it is to do.
So you yourself were a student at Orange Prep?
I went to Bloomfield High School.
Okay.
In my area.
So could you tell us about the students at Orange Prep, what kind of school it is, where it's located, the kind of...
They are located in Orange, which is a very, it's a low-income place. The school for a while was what was known as an Abbott district, which, you know, they have issues. They are constantly, you know, trying to reform the school. And I mean, I know, you know, my mother being a teacher there, you know, we hear, and I'm very close with a lot of the other teachers there, how stressful and difficult of an environment it is, because these kids, you know, they'll just sit in a class and fall asleep. They'll lie down on the floor and sleep. And it's not, I don't want to, you know, be rude, but it needs reform, and they're trying, but the district that it's in, it's, you know, it's not the best place for kids who are not, you know, they don't want to do just sports or just do, you know, there's a lot of stress on like sports in the Army. That's what a lot of these kids are going into after they're graduating. So we get, you know, our kids who are able to do Hamlet, and these kids who want to be actors and who want to read and who want to speak. And the guidance counselors there don't know what to do with them. You know, like our boy who's going to play Hamlet, I mean, he has, you know, he knows some schools that he wants to go to, but he wasn't able to get a lot of help with that because the district doesn't always recognize this as an equally valuable aspect of education. You know, they provide, and the people who are involved in the drama at this school are wonderful. You know, they put so much in, the supervisor, they put so much in, and the kids put so much in, but there are certain aspects of the district that still doesn't respect that. I think that puts a really big strain on the kids because it's very important to them.
So when these kids are given an opportunity to perform, when they're engaging with the parts of their secondary education that, like you said, aren't recognized by the district as valuable as others, I mean, does that create unique successes? Does that turn heads? Is there headway being made there?
I've seen the young man who started the Othello rap, who had the boats, and he stabbed himself with the boats. He started off, you know, in a lower reading level class, and he's been doing this for 3 years. And through reading, and not only reading but speaking it, his reading level has improved. We have one girl in this cast who they wanted to take her out of rehearsals for tutoring. Meanwhile, she has to memorize a speech where she's basically telling the whole history of Hitler. You know, they do a little joke that someone gets their index cards mixed up with Hitler and Shakespeare. But basically, this girl has to memorize the entire history of Hitler with words like the Sudetenland, the Rhineland zone. She's in 8th grade. And they're trying to pull her out for reading tutoring. It's like, no, she's getting that here. You know, she's learning how much she improved was amazing, because she would work on it every day. And these kids just become so much more comfortable with themselves. You know, there isn't the competitive aspect of who gets the best grades or who wins the games. You know, this is an ensemble piece. And while some people, you know, some people are Hamlet, some people are guard number 2, they all have their important roles to play. And I think that that really just helps them develop, you know, the ability to work together, the ability, you know, reading, speaking skills, just being comfortable with yourself. I mean, I've seen one of the boys in this show, he's been with my mom forever, and just watching him develop on stage, and you see the kids who have done this for a while are just so much more comfortable with themselves and seem just a lot happier. They seem very well adjusted. And I think it's important that they have this outlet to discover and to explore, because, you know, when you sit in class and just do work, you know, you're not really getting to explore as actively as when you do a production.
So we have another clip to show. Could you set it up for us?
This is a clip from the Hamlet. Hamlet sort of has a little, the actor who's playing Hamlet has a little bit of an actor meltdown on stage, a drama queen actor meltdown. And what we explore in this is the "What a Piece of Work is Man" speech through just listening to the language and trying to eliminate any sort of acting. So this is very much a focus on what the language does by itself, as opposed to what actors and what we can do with emphasis.
All right, well then let's take a look at the next clip.
And where does Hamlet kneel for to be or not to be? We're wrong. You know what, Miss Sugarman? Let Janetta do this. I quit.
Well, I hope you're proud of yourself. Sorry, folks. We're going to have to skip the to be or not to be speech tonight.
We can't skip the to be or not to be speech. It is the most famous speech written in all of Shakespeare.
It's overrated.
Overrated, really?
Yeah, think about it. Hamlet's supposed to be killing his uncle. Then he's talking about killing himself. Where did that come from? It completely weakens his character.
It makes it complex. The layers give it meaning.
The layers make it subtle. All those long speeches with all those big words that nobody understands. Like, what's the one that goes, I have of late, but wherefore I know not. Lost all my mirth, forgone all custom of exercise. And indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition, that this goodly frame, the earth, it seems a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestic roof fretted with golden fire. Why, it appears to me no more than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is man. How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me.
See, that did it, sir.
That we see them performing, we see the audience laughing, we know what goes into it now. So what is the community, what's the academic community or the local community getting out of these performances, beyond what the kids are getting from their enrichment?
I think it really shows, a lot of times we get some teachers that come to these shows and it's able to show them what the kids are capable of. You know, I think sometimes it's easy to forget, you think kids in high school, these kids just hanging around, not doing any work, I don't know, but I think it reminds them, it reminds the society, it reminds these kids what they're really capable of. And this show was fantastic, working with, because I've done acting, I've done the acting side of it, and everyone can talk about, the joy you get after the bow and when people are applauding and the excitement that you accomplished something. But watching these kids feel that excitement, and you get to know them through the rehearsal process. You get to know that they have so many responsibilities. They come from so many different types of homes, different types of families, and they have a lot of different responsibilities, from work to taking care of their family, and there's a lot of pressure put on them that I don't think the school really sometimes fairly respects. But to just see them feel this pride, and some of the parents just being able to see their kid do this, it's just good to see them remember how powerful they can be, how powerful their voice can be, how powerful what they can produce can be. When they're sharing an experience and laughing and, I don't know, crying, it's important for them to know that they have the possibility to do something just so valuable and so important, I think.
So we know that arts education is, we're in all the problems we have in education here in the state, here in the country, we know that arts education is butting up against STEM topics. I mean, is there a looming threat for arts education? Is there headway being made? Are the naysayers, are you turning heads enough to make change? What do these communities need?
I think that with the program that my mother has developed and that I've worked with at the Orange Prep Academy, a lot of the things she's been able to get the kids involved with, like the outside festivals, the recognition that they get, is really helping to earn respect for the drama and arts program. However, still being there, we have kids being pulled out of rehearsals for sports. And I don't want to, I think every aspect, sports, every extracurricular is valuable, but you can't value one more than the other. So we get a lot of things like, I have to go to practice. My coach won't let me miss it. And they're like, this is equally as important. We had one of our final rehearsals was interrupted by one of the staff members of the high school, and they had a teacher's awards thing in the high school. And they were going to pull out some of our main kids to present at this award show for the teachers. These kids were just going to present. Meanwhile, these kids are in rehearsal. This was our boy who was playing Juliet. This was our girl who was the production stage manager. And while there have been, respect has been growing for the arts, it's still looked down upon. It's still not, as important as sports. It's not as important as a lot of as regular school, which, you can't value it over regular school, but everything has to be treated equally, and it still isn't.
So if you could tell me real quick, what are these kids doing next? Next,
well, one of the kids on crew, he has a full ride to a college. Some of the kids, they're heading out. Some of them are heading to the Army. One of our kids, he's going to a local school. But they have goals. This has really given them something to aim for, and it's really, lit a flame under them. It's taught them, it's given them, I don't know how to put this, they found something that they love, and they've realized how powerful they are, and each year they're growing. From last year, they've grown this year. They know their lines better. They are understanding the importance of teamwork and dedication. And I believe that can sustain them through their entire life.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your work with us today. Kate Sugarman, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Carpe Diem. For more information about this or any other Carpe Diem, please contact us at carpediem@mail.montclair.edu or call us at 973-655-5158. From all of us here at Dumont Television Center, thanks for watching.